our phone anyway, right? So why does it matter? Everyone can buy our phone data and the GPS location the entire time, and it's been out for sale already. So why does like pictures of your car matter?
So as always, okay, I'll actually compare this to something. Uh, I have an opinion that is a bit less popular, um, and it's the Meta glasses. Um, so hold on 1 second. Let's see if I can. I was having trouble. Let's see if I can manage to go live. Can I go live now? 1 second. 1 second. It's managed to do it. Okay, great. All right. So now I can talk. Um, yeah. So yeah, the Meta glasses, right? The Meta glasses with the cameras in them that record, right? I was just watching a
Right.
all
Show,
right.
a
So
news
now I
type
can
of show
talk.
thing.
That I enjoy. Last uh, uh the other just like a few days ago. Anyway, the point is that like the group there, they were talking about how these cameras should be banned and you shouldn't be able to film people in public without their permission. And I thought that was really not great. I respected the individuals who were saying it, but like this was a bad take. We are allowed to uh film people, right? Like in
In
public.
public,
In
yeah,
public,
I agree.
yeah, yeah.
You could
You
just
could
walk
just
around
walk
with your
around with your
phone
phone
on
on
with the
with the
camera,
camera,
right?
right?
There's nothing
Yeah,
legally stopping you
and in
from
the
doing.
bushes, whatever, it's fine. But anyway, so
That's a little
but
bit of
like
a
okay,
self-report, but
if you're like if I'm like filming Corey, right? We're doing a little project or whatever, right? And we're filming outside. Someone walks past on the sidewalk. They can't come up to me and like, hey, erase that because I'm in that footage, right? Like we're constantly recorded everywhere, and it's the way it should be, right? Like they weren't really thinking about the implications of this because, like, okay, well, like and like the reason why they were saying they don't want it to be filmed by these medical ads is because they give an example. There was this woman who was, I think, at a subway stop or whatever, right? This guy approaches her and like starts to like chat her up, and she's like, I'm not down with this, like please leave me alone, right? And he keeps harassing her, and eventually she leaves, but she realizes he's got this those meta glasses on and he's recording her. And then she starts like doing a little social media search, and she finds this guy. He has a channel and he does this, right? He's like one of the pickup artist types, right?
right.
And she's like, at first she doesn't find her video, but he posted later on Christmas Day apparently, right, with this woman. And she feels like violated. She was like talking on, she did some sort of segment or something about this stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, you see, like this is being used to like harass women, and this is why this shouldn't be allowed. However, let's flip it and reverse it. What if that there was a guy who didn't have a camera, right? Who was harassing a woman, right? Like approaching her. What if she took her phone and started recording him, for his safety? He didn't consent to that. Should that be allowed? Right? I think a lot of people I think the exact same people who were saying otherwise, that I was watching previously, would say, oh, well, of course you should be able to. We have to be able to do this um, uh, like film people without the consent. And also those same people I was watching, I know specifically the thing that they agree with is that you should be able to film the cops, right? Film the cops, film ICE officers. That's an important tool for citizens to keep the state in check. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
um however however should the same be in reverse? Then now I'm going to bring in the flock cameras, right? um I say maybe not. Maybe not. Because what we understand is that the power of the state is uh is corrosive and it's dangerous. Like when the state does an action, right, it carries a level of power that goes above and beyond what any citizen can do, right? And so if the state, right? Like yes, like our friend Dr. Greg said at the very start, right? Well, you can film anyone's car, right? But like this is being used by the state for police work, right? To as an end run around like subpoenas and warrants and stuff, right? To for this information. So like it's the exact yes, it is the exact same action, but when the state does it, we can understand it could be more dangerous. So kind of give a broad, nuanced take on filming. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean, I
mean,
don't
I don't
necessarily
necessarily
disagree with
disagree with
anything
anything
that you said, and I think I'm probably in the same place as you are. Although just to add another example where like I agree with your example of the medical glasses, someone wearing them. A story that I read, I don't know how true it is, but apparently it was a situation where the woman was visiting her doctor, and she found out afterwards that the doctor was wearing these medical glasses, like recording the appointment. And that did not seem right.
That's wild. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
that's not and that's not public, right? You know? So yeah, this person like that's she had an expectation of privacy within the doctor's office, and then he violated that. That should be a big effing problem. I don't see how he couldn't. I don't see why how this guy could keep his job afterwards. Like that's
yeah.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, you have to like remove licenses and
I don't
stuff, right?
know the meta glasses. Like, is there any sort of like blinking light indication that it's recording, or it's like totally like hidden?
There is, but you can disable it. Like you can pay
Oh,
people to
okay.
like
Really?
disable that, which was inevitable. That was 100% going to happen. That's an easy thing to do. Um,
Yeah.
and then so something that wasn't covered in that segment that I was talking about, those people discussing like what the real problem of these glasses is something different altogether. And again, it's something that the government is actually already doing right now. Um, it's the ability to like film a person and then like run their face through through databases and immediately come up with their identity.
Right.
Um, there, I'm not sure if you guys saw there. This before Meta came out with those glasses, right? There was these college students who like did this like on their campus. They like set this up themselves. They programmed some smart glasses to do exactly that. So yeah, like and they just like it like went through social media posts and all that, right? It pulled up a bunch of information, and they would just like tell that to the person they were talking to who didn't know, right? Like what? So that's the thing that could happen. Now imagine that situation where some woman, hey, I like you're traveling around, you're just doing whatever you're doing in public, right? And some guy films you, and then immediately like can figure out important details about you and possibly your address. Now, to be fair, right, you could also do that with a smartphone, right? You could actually just set the same thing up and film it that way. So, I mean, I guess the big problem there is like big data rather than anything else. But like still, it's just easier to do with the camera. So I mean, I don't know. Like with the thing to do. Oh yeah, and the I was gonna link that to the state because ICE, like for instance, like has ability to they're using sorry now they're using their smartphones to do it, but like they'll scan your face, and then that'll pull up a database, and they'll have information on you, right? So the state's already doing this. Um, yeah, so it's more sense.
And even then, from what I understand, and I don't know if this makes this better or worse, but it's not the state directly, because like Flock is like a private company, right? It's like the state like solicits or whatever, like reaches out to Flock, and like I don't know if Flock
I
has.
mean, that's their main the government is their main and buyer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Of
no,
their
like that
services.
doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know like how that affects things, or is that like some layer of gatekeeping, or it's like yeah,
No.
it's more or less like understood that
100%.
Flock is
100%.
just whatever, an agent of the state at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
100%. That's their goal. They're happy to be that. Like
yeah, that
they want to
doesn't
get
surprise
those
me.
government contracts. Yeah. Um I mean, like they're all about violating your privacy or your I'm sorry, not violating your privacy, but like violating your um tracking. Let's just put it that way, because like I said, you don't actually have any privacy when you're outside. However, there was the incident with a flock had set up a camera right outside this guy's driveway, right?
Right.
And I don't think it was supposedly directed at him, but the way it's set up is that like all his comings and goings um just were captured by this. And then like I think there's been a few cases of this, but I think this is one of the cases where he got his data like from flock, right? And you could track, you could just see every time he left, right? It was all captured there. And like there's some government officials, some like mayors and stuff, whatever, right, who think, oh, this is fine, right? The ones who've agreed to have it in their jurisdiction. Oh, see, this is fine, it's not a big deal, right? One way to prove that it is a big deal is to use flock to track them,
Yeah,
because they
no.
don't like they don't seem to be a fan of that. Hey, we found when you usually go visit your mistress, right? Like they're gonna have a big problem now.
Well, yeah, that's like I made this argument before on one of your panels. So like, as in with the flock cameras, like if they're going to be rolled out, like I think like they should be in pretty much in the situation you described, like outside whatever government officials, focused on where there's heavy policing. Okay, as in if police aren't going to wear body cameras, well, just have the flock cameras track them instead.
Yeah,
Just
that's
as
great.
I think one of the panel topics, or we got on this topic one of your panels, is like I think AI is being used to like review let's say police footage and like flag certain things. And I said, well, if they're going to use AI to review police footage, how about they start reviewing police body cam footage? And if they trust the AI,
Yeah.
if any police officer gets flagged, they're the first ones, okay, to go.
Yeah, you're 100% right. For the flock cameras, right? For any the mayor or like a town official, like the city council, if you approve that, well, then we should be able to continuously buy your data, right, and post it. Well, this is where they go, right? Because again, there's nothing to hide, right? I mean, they're just
I agree.
cameras. They're just cameras outside.
Like
right?
if any government official is saying like this is trustworthy, this is a good thing, well then let's start with you. Just like if police are going to say that, like then that's the only, I would say that's probably one of the best ways to get the public's trust.
Exactly.
And if they're willing to go that far, then I can maybe be more on board. But yeah, as of now, I'm a little bit on the fence. I lean towards like this not being a good thing. But again, like totally, there can be data that comes out of like if this reduces like crime across the board, or if this results in even more of a spotlight being shown on whatever police misconduct. I think that's great because like body cams, from what I understand, are not universal, right? And it seems like it's a largely, I guess it's largely voluntary at this point or whatever, depending on like the whatever specific local police. But until like there's actual universal body cams, well then let's start with the flock cameras tracking them first.
I checked out the Wikipedia and it was 28 cases of law enforcement officers misusing it. And it was basically all tracking ex-girlfriends, estranged wives, following them, stalking people. With this one guy, used to track a woman he was dating and her ex-partner nearly 180 times over a 2-month period. Like just track your ex-boyfriend's ex-wife 31 times. So 28 issues of that. And then another like I'd say like 10 here, false arrests and detentions. Innocent people have been pulled over, detained at gunpoint, or jailed as a result of the mistakes in the flock system. So yeah, it is there. The AI review is tough, man.
And is anything is anything mentioned about of the cases that you highlighted of essentially police abusing it? Like, was anything mentioned about the penalty, or they got 2 months of desk work type of stuff?
Yeah, exactly. There were individual news reports that I would have to go into, but
yeah, okay, no, fair enough.
So we can go farther than this though, because what you talked about with flock isn't actually special. Whenever we have these intelligence capabilities, this tech that gives surveillance power to these people who that is not where there is no oversight, right? Not like they have to get a warrant every time, right? It's like like, oh, well, who do you have to track? Oh, my ex, right? They like when there is no oversight, they just like access these things. It happens every time. The thing you just described. Here's an article that just came out earlier this week, actually. Um, CPB workers allegedly use a government database to spy on exes, crushes, and colleagues. Sounds familiar. So CPB meaning the Customs and Border Protection.
Mhm.
So this is a Wired article. I'll read you a few paragraphs from this. Internal records obtained by Wired reveal how, for years, United States Customs and Border Protection employees and contractors were accused of abusing sensitive government databases for reasons that had nothing to do with their jobs. The record contains hundreds of allegations of misuse of law enforcement databases, including federal agents querying data to look up romantic interests, monitor family members, expose various personal information, and in some cases provide intelligence to suspected smugglers of drug trafficking organizations. They were helping the smugglers. Another section of the article says Wired has made. Sorry. Ignore this part. In one case, a CBB officer allegedly used government databases to contact a flight attendant. And another, an officer was accused of pulling information from trusted travel applications to ask people out. Other CBB employees were accused of providing border crossing data to someone involved in a quote unquote heated divorce. And yet another DHS employee allegedly used controversial ad tech derived location data to track several co-worker cell phones, which appears to be the first known internal abuse case involving a DHS use of ad tech derived mobile location data. So yeah, the guy, one person having a divorce, right, and using that ability to try to help his case. And another person, yeah, he saw a hottie, right, flight attendant, and then got her personal information using their systems. And then again, so that's that. But then years beforehand, in the Snowden releases, right, we found out through Edward Snowden that the government was like tracking our phone calls and like recording them, listening them in on a mass scale, right? People like forget about this. This like still happens. It's a thing that still happens. They just like
Mhm.
record our phone calls. That just
Yes.
happens, right? We just like don't remember this thing,
Well, not
thing
me.
anymore.
I'm in
But
Canada, although they might still
yeah,
record.
no, they're recording yours too. In fact, it's especially directed at foreigners. That's what it's supposed to do, but it just happens. It just happens. Oh, oopsie poopsie. It just happens to suck in Americans' data as well. So yeah, when that was revealed, we found out later on that like was it the what's it called, the national security NSA, yeah, like those employees there were doing the exact same thing. Like if you read that headline from like all those years ago, that was like, was it 15 years ago or something, that headline would have been the exact same thing that I just read. They did the exact same thing every time. Every time they do the same thing, right? When you give these people access, and especially like consider the types of people who like go into law enforcement, right? The type of like the controlling type, these macho type of guys, right? Yeah, there's a certain type of mentality of the people who go in there. Not that anyone given this amount of power might not abuse it. Fair enough, right? But the type of guy that like would that goes into law enforcement is really the exact type of guy you don't want to have this thing, right? And the
That's
exact
true.
type of guy who's going to be like a threat to women.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree in terms of like, there's probably some selection bias occurring of, I don't know for sure, but let's say uh you may be selecting for people that,
Sorry, he
like
wants to.
control or to exercise some sort of control and power. Obviously that comes along with that as well. Which like obviously there's, let's say there's some advantages to that, but also the disadvantage of like, well, they will exploit their ability to control in that situation. I don't
There
know.
has to be guardrails. Period.
Yeah, but I don't know how you. Well, I may just not be creative enough, but I don't know how you solve the problem of like you can create another, external institution to like surveil, okay, the cops, but then who surveils the surveillance, and it's all this infinite chain.
Well, I mean, like you could say like the access database, like you need a warrant.
Yeah, but
You need some like a third party has to give you the ability to access the database. And if you access it about it, then you're like up for prosecution. Like every time it's queried, it has to be with some sort of third party giving a level of approval that like, hey, this has a law enforcement like a valid law enforcement need, um
Although, like, is it a huge hurdle to like get, an unjustified warrant? I'm sure it happens, but I'm
I
hoping
mean,
it's like
yeah, I
minority.
mean, it does, but like it's something I would
Yeah,
rather a
I don't
judge
disagree with
have
you.
to sign off. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
but then again,
Um,
I don't know about the character of judges either.
we had the FISA warrant courts, the Foreign Intelligence something SA. I don't remember what the S and A stand for, but FISA courts. Those were for terrorism cases, if I remember correctly, right? Where the government wanted to like, get a subpoena or whatever, and or get a warrant, and they couldn't do it in public because they didn't want to tip off the terrorist. Okay. Um, yeah, civilian courts could probably handle it, but whatever. They created a whole different court. This is all after 9/11. They created the FISA courts, right? So these were like secret courts, and where there was just like, um, there was the judge and the prosecutor, I'm not sure if there was like a defense involved in there, but in any case, right? Um, those were a lot of rubber stamping,
Right.
a lot of rubber stamping happening. And yeah, it's pretty bad. Uh, but I mean, even then, it gave some level of friction between law enforcement and like being able to do whatever the hell they wanted.
Yeah, which
So,
is a good thing, which I'm in favor of.
uh,
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, no system can be perfect, at least thus far. But I agree that's probably better to have some sort of quarter, so almost as many layers of friction as possible, without making the system useless type of thing.
yeah.
But it's tough.
Well, maybe. Well, do you guys want to? Sorry, one second. Dude, all my kids are currently doing a sleepover at someone else's house. So I heard one of them come in. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" So we'll have to
Yeah.
see. Anyway, well, I guess this like an honesty kind of conversation. Seeing maybe this is a good place to start. Jason Arde, an ex-Cambridge professor at Center of Plagiarism Row, found dead. So Arde, the former University of Cambridge professor at the Center of Plagiarism Row, has been found dead. Emergency services said a man was found unresponsive at an address in Battersea, South London on Friday afternoon. Arde resigned as a Cambridge professor of sociology of education last week after allegations of plagiarism and questions about some of his achievements. He had denied those claims. Arde's family said in a statement that they were in shock to have lost this amazing father, partner, brother, uncle, son. They added, the campaign of misinformation was too much for Jason, who was a gentle man who has always wanted to see the best in everyone. And man, I felt so, I do feel bad. I feel awful that obviously this man like took his life. I mean, it's allegedly. So,
Yeah,
um, but
definitely the outcome is tragic for sure.
yeah, like genuinely. But man, I saw the saw the just the how should I say it, the his PhD, his dissertation, and looking at that, I was like shocked, man, how much of that um looked to be plagiarized. Like it just seemed like pretty apparent that he um he lifted full paragraphs from there, and also had like weird outlandish lies that I have no idea why he would say. Like he said that he
He ran like
he
30 marathons in 35 days. At least that one of the claims. And then
three ultras in third
and then he
and
ran
three.
like 300 miles in like 3 days or something to that effect.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like the most outlandish, like over the top lies that you're like, why? Like, there's just no way, dude. It would be like telling someone like, yeah, oh, you bench press? You're like, yeah, I bench press. Like, what do you bench press? Like, oh, 500 pounds. You're like, what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you say so? Bench press, like at least lie and say like a believable number, right? Like three ultras back to back to back, 300 miles in 3 days. It's like one of the most incredible feats of ultra running that's ever existed ever before, and like, so the guy obviously was a habitual liar, and I that's the problem, like, I feel bad. Honestly, the most bad I feel is, like, he was let down by the academic institution that they didn't
Yeah,
push back
absolutely.
on him sooner.
I my sentiments is the same as he's largely a victim of the institutions and the people, well, many people that, let's say, I guess, well, Cambridge hiring him, and I guess not doing their vetting appropriately, and then institutions and people, propping him up. Yeah, I'm still sort of in the process of whatever gathering my thoughts and feelings about it. But as of now, um, I largely see him as like a victim, but he played a role, not a role in his, like, he definitely did not deserve to, have, let's say, the amount of, let's say, the amount that he was crucified and all that stuff. And totally, there was an element of, it seemed, there were certainly some individuals that were motivated by maybe not the greatest of motivations and intentions. But yeah, at the end of the day, um, like, yeah, I don't really know exactly where I stand on this other than, like, Cambridge should have probably known better and done better.
This is a wild fucking take. I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand this. To call this guy a victim, that's crazy. That's crazy. This guy's a massive liar. What? Donald Trump was also a victim in that sense too, right? People didn't properly vet him. He just like lied and lied and lied his entire way up to the top. Like, what? No, this guy's a massive fraud. No, F him. No, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm happy he's died or anything, right? Like, no, that part is in itself tragic, but that's his own problem, right? That's him putting himself in this situation. That's crazy. Institutions failed him, and institutions failed their students, right? The students didn't actually get a professor who's qualified, right?
True.
This
Yeah,
guy who
I
just
agree
like
there.
made up nonsense, right? Made up the craziest nonsense, both like personally with like the stuff you guys are talking about, and professionally. He made a bunch of lies there too. And then this motherfucker had the audacity to weaponize racism, right? Like there were people who called him out saying, "Hey, you are like we have questions about your articles, right? Your articles and your dissertation and whatnot, right?" And then he's like, well, you're a racist and don't contact me." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm being harassed by these people, these journalists or whatever, who are contacting, hitting me up." And then he calls the police, right? He tells the police about this, and in one case, they go to the other person and it's like, "Yeah, you got to knock this off."
And
They take his
and it was
side.
a journalist. They called the police on the journalist
Yeah,
that was like investigating. Yeah, that I know.
crazy. Like to say that this guy is a victim, wild. No, massive fraud, right? Like a massive narcissist.
For sure,
To do this, like
Well, I
rich
don't
liar.
what?
disagree with anything like in terms of fraud and like a liar. I don't disagree with those sentiments. And like I'm not saying he's only a victim. Like he played a part in the things that happened to him. Not to the
All of
point
it.
that again that he deserved to die or take his own life
Why
or
are we
whatever that
giving
happened.
him victim status? Why are we giving him victim status?
Because
Why are we
Prime, like,
doing this?
what, like, okay, so I was a TA and we found like people cheating like on a test. So
Uh-huh.
what do you do? You know, like for stuff like that, you know, like I think it's like it's a hard thing to do when it's in your hands. And I mean, do you throw the book at them, or are you gonna write it up to the university every
So
time?
no, I get having being ambivalent as to how to handle a student
But that's how
cheating,
it
right?
starts.
Like I get that, right? And not trying to ruin some kids or young adults life before they enter into the wide workforce, right?
Mhm.
And I would have that same level of hesitancy as well, right? It's like, do I really want to do this to this guy? Like, do they deserve it? Just like, or do I just tell them to like knock it off? He caught at you, but
Yeah,
stern
got
warning.
caught.
I
Got
hear you,
caught,
right?
you know, like
Yeah. Like you get like Israel for the assignment or whatever, right?
yeah.
I get that. That's different. That's different from applying for a job fraudulently, right? And them not doing their due diligence. And he's being put in a sensitive position. Let's change the situation just for a little bit, right? Let's just say this guy, and this, as far as I know, this is not true, right? So I'm just making hypothetical. Let's just say that this guy in his past had a history of abusing children or women, right?
Mhm.
And he lied about his house, like like, hey, have you been accused of these type of crimes? And he says, no, I have not. And then they never check, and then like he goes on to actually abuse someone, right? Like we
Yeah.
would say that Cambridge failed their students, right, without doing their due diligence here. And and what actually happened, like they were telling their students who were paying, well, I don't know how Cambridge works, but like who
Well, somebody's
some of them
paying.
at least
Okay,
were paying.
regardless,
Yeah, somebody's paying.
somebody's
They're like,
Someone.
I'm having my only hesitation is here. There's like these Ivy League schools. A lot of them, they just all have like scholarships, and so like no one
sure, yeah,
actually.
and large endowments
Most
and
of
stuff
the
like that.
students
Yeah,
yeah, they have large endowments. But okay, let's just say that people were paying, right, to be there, right, and you're paying to have quality a staff faculty there to teach you, right? But he wasn't. He was a fraud. Again, like Cambridge, there was a failure that happened, right? The victim though were the students under them, not this guy, the
But
guy who lied the entire
well, I
time.
can still say
Why
that students
give
are
him victim
victims.
status?
I don't know, like, and again, it's not like I'm only giving him that and that alone.
Mhm.
Like, I have no problem
Why
also
give
saying
him
that
at all?
he's well, arguably a fraud and a plagiarizer,
For
and all
sure.
that stuff.
But
Why give it to him at all?
but
That's what
I
that's
mean,
the
do you
thing that I'm
think,
asking.
so
So
where's the hard line? That's my question, Prime. Like, where would be the hard line for you? Like the PhD, like, so is the PhD professor supposed to, like, any academic dishonesty? Like, no, you're not going to get a PhD because that's what he used in order to become a professor. So, like, where does the academic institution like self-correct? I guess
Hold
because
on, hold
do you know what I mean?
on. Okay, maybe I'm
That
trying to understand.
undergrad that I
Mhm,
didn't, throw the book at, goes into the academia, gets a graduate professor, PhD, and now that
mhm.
guy is caught plagiarizing whole paragraphs and just changing one word, so now at
Do a
that
better
point,
job. Come on. Sorry, go ahead. Just do
like,
a better job. Like what the have a bit more pride in your plagiarizing. Come on. Let's 100%.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
you'd be like you'd be shocked, even yeah. I'm not gonna say anymore, but yeah.
that's what he did. I mean, that was what they found. So, so is the PhD professor, like, are they supposed to use AI tools to make sure that he isn't plagiarizing and then like not let him graduate? I think that would have to be it, right?
Again,
That would
sorry.
have to
Hold
be
on.
it. I would
Like,
support this, by the way. If this guy was my PhD student, I would not
yeah.
graduate him. No.
So, I okay. Multiple things. One, um, this is separate from Cambridge, right? So what you're talking about is
Yeah.
pre-Cambridge, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then yeah. So Cambridge, I
So
think
it happened then.
themselves had a failure. But like I would say for and there's a spectrum here, right? And I think that's what you're trying to get at. But this is on the tail end of the spectrum and in terms of severity, right? With the PhDs, like the PhDs are the accreditation, like the point you're trying to get to, that
Mhm.
like gets you the other job, right? You get a
Yes. Yes.
PhD, it's like it's a professional accreditation, right? It's not like simply a uh, like a degree, right? Like a scholastic achievement. It's a professional accreditation. Like this person has achieved mastery in this field, right? That's your stamp of approval there. Yeah, actually, well, I mean, if it's severe enough, right? Like if it's severe enough, then yes. And it sounded like, from what I understand of this guy, it was extremely severe, like extremely egregious what he did. Um, there are some cases because there was a situation. It was actually during the um like early on and Palestinian genocide, where there was a were there was students at Columbia. They were protesting, right? This was like a whole big thing. And then the one of the donors to Columbia was pro-Zionist, right? They tend to be. And they were using Columbia to crack down on the students. Now, he got himself attention, right? And people started looking into him, and they found out that his wife like had a bunch of like plagiarism in her like articles and stuff, like a whole like a list of it, right? And then there was a question as to like, well, is this serious, right? Um, like if I'm this was a few years ago, so if I get any details wrong, I do apologize. I'm not trying to mislead anyone. But like if I remember, like this became a particularly galling because I think the billionaire, right, her husband, was trying to use the school and their powers to like go after like professors or whatever. Who yes oh now I remember it was the head of Columbia. So I think her name was Gay or something. Right? She had like a last name like Miss Gay.
That
Or
sounds familiar.
you remember what I'm talking about? Yes. Now
I
it's
believe so.
coming back to me. She got so her and a bunch of other university leaders, right, the presidents, get called into Congress, and they had to testify about like what's happening on campus, right? This is like remember the big student protests against the Biden sponsored genocide. In that situation, like the presidents, the college presidents, are giving their testimony. A professor or President Gay, she like says a thing about like I forget how she phrases this, but like one of the Republican senators, Lisa Stefanik, like really lays into her and like pretends that she's some danger to Jews, right? Jews on campus. Um, and then they start looking into her, right? And looking to Professor Gay's past, and they look into some of her articles, and like, oh, I think like there's some things that were copied, maybe, right? You've done plagiarism, and they're like, oh, we gotta fire her, right? This billionaire was leading the charge. We gotta fire this chick over this. And then later on, and that's why they got attention to him, and they looked into his wife, who was also an academic, right? And like, woman, she did the exact same thing. And he started making excuses for his wife, who did exactly what she did, right? And so, anyway, sorry, the whole thing, this is all like unlocking memories because like this was it was this memory hold previously, right? But like, I remember like there was a question about like what President Gay did, right? If I believe that was her name.
No, yeah, you're
Was
right.
that
It was a Claudine Gay.
Claudine Gay? Yes. Thank you.
Not that it matters all that much, because they were the president of Harvard. But yeah, I remember that Senate or that
Oh, it was
hearing.
the president of
Yeah,
Harvard. Okay, sorry. Excuse me.
but it
Ben,
doesn't not a big deal.
yeah. Excuse me. They're all the fucking same to me.
True.
but the guy I'm thinking of, he was I know he was a donator to Columbia, because that came up later on. But he was one of the people criticizing Gay. That part I know I'm correct on. But anyway, whatever. The point is that like, yeah, was what this woman did like all that bad, right? And like the conversation that came about was like, well, if you look at a lot of dissertations, there's like a lot of this, right? And like some of these are just like quotations, and like it wasn't, she was quoting something, right? If I remember this correctly, and this was a while ago, but she was like quoting things, but then like not giving like proper accreditation, right? It was a quote, it wasn't hers, but like not properly like accredited. And it's like, whoa, okay, well, that's like plagiarism, but like it was clear that it wasn't her words. Again, if I'm remembering this correctly, maybe I'm not, but that's what that was. But like what the billionaire's wife did, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like worse, like lifting like whole pieces of like from other papers and just like putting it in as hers, not making it clear that it was someone else's words, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a spectrum here, right? There's a spectrum here. And it's like, well, if you look at a lot of papers, you're probably going to find a lot of this stuff, you know? So like if it's actually really bad, you know, if it's egregious, then yeah, I think you should deny their PhD. I'm sorry, I said a lot there.
No, that's all. That's all useful information. Like, I think I take your point. So, well, one of the reasons why, in some sense, I see him as a victim, because all your points are valid and I like agree with them. But it seems like this particular person was like propped up by the institutions. Well, propped up by Cambridge. Of like they were championed. There were many news stories. I think they were on like the BBC, interviewed, and like made a big deal of like. And it seemed like they were basically like, using them as a token, right? And like if you're going to use someone as a token, you may want to do your due diligence. But like everything you said, like I agree with in terms of like, yeah, students are also victims. But then like let's just say aside from them being the youngest black professor at Cambridge, which like is noteworthy. But like let's just say aside from that, there's nothing overly noteworthy.
It's noteworthy for a bad reason, though, right? It's noteworthy because they were like even at the time, and I didn't know this guy before like the recent news, right? Till just before he died. So like, but like it's nowhere for a bad reason. Like it takes a certain number of years to like build, you know, a professional um career, a professional timeline, right? That is like trustworthy, right? And to get like tenureship, right? Like there's a whole process there, and that helps weed some of this out. It's not foolproof, obviously, right? But like they just like fast tracked this guy, and what was the reason? Right, like it seems like yeah, they tokenized them, right? If you want to call them a quote unquote DEI hire, I mean, like this was a pretty bad case of that, right? Like
So yeah, it's only in that context that I see him
right.
as like a victim. But I take your disagreement with
How
that.
is he a victim? I'm sorry, no. Again, I'm still like I'm still having trouble here. How is he the victim? He sought it out, right? He sought it out on like plainly false pretenses. It'd be one thing, right?
Well,
If he sought it out,
I
right?
agree.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
like, well, it'd be one thing if he sought it out, right? Like, hey, I want to be an architect, right? Like a master architect,
Yeah.
and a senior architect, right? But I'm too early. However, I did go to architect school, architecture school. I have my degree, right? And I've worked in the field. But like I have like 3 years experience. And then they give you they put him in charge of some big project and he somehow fucks it up, right? In that case, I could see or no, that doesn't make sense.
And he was like, I built a 1 million tall building, 1 million
Yeah,
high.
yeah, like a huge house. Like if you put a person within a position that isn't ready, that makes sense. But they have like the credentials, right? Like hey, we need someone to design this, and he's like, well, I'm not sure if I'm ready, but like, okay, I guess I'll do it, right? In that case, maybe. But in this case, he specifically, Jason Arte, specifically looked for this, and he lied to Cambridge up and down and to everyone about everything, right? So then, how is he the victim?
Okay, so maybe it may be useful to compare and contrast because, like, again, I agree with what you're saying in terms of he sought out the position at Cambridge. Like, I think it was pretty
habitual liar for sure.
And like, yeah, habitual liar, fraudster, plagiarizer. The only reason, but he, from what I can tell, but I could be wrong. But like, is there a part of him that, let's say, is self-aggrandizing? Like, that seems to be totally the case. But
yeah,
he, from what I can tell, he did not seek out, let's say, Cambridge propping him up. Now, did he, let's say, reject it or whatnot? Like, let's say, compare and contrast, for example, in my mind, let's say, if I bring up, what was her name? The president of Stanford that resigned, Mark Levine Tessier, I think. I don't know, maybe Greg, if you remember. But either way, well, if you don't know, that's to my point of like, they were caught up in a scandal. They had to resign from Stanford. This is like in 2016, 2018, because like years ago, they were caught like, well, not plagiarizing, but pretty much academic misconduct in terms of like manipulating images. And turns out many of their data in their past papers and like Nature Cell Science papers, there was like data manipulation.
Parkinson's, like
that was the Alzheimer's research. That was like
the Alzheimer's. Yeah, that's it.
But like, but like I have trouble remembering his name, and like understandably, so does everyone else, because it's like even though this is like a big thing in science, okay, like the general public, they do not latch on to this, and this person now has they went on to become a CEO of another company now. They're doing just fine, okay, despite okay all the academic misconduct, as opposed to this person, okay, like everything you say that I agree with, as in they sought out Cambridge and Cambridge hired them, but then it was not their choice to be propped up by Cambridge and everyone else in the general public. And then the resulting backlash from that, or let's say the heavy scrutiny.
He was happy with the media attention. He was happy with the media attention.
What? He killed himself. I don't think so.
No,
dude.
no. No, I mean beforehand, right? Because beforehand, when he was their shining token, right, he got a lot of press then. Like I hadn't heard of him, but like before then, yeah, like he was happy to like to talk about his great achievements and like get awards, you know, like for like
someone said in chat that they've been investigating him for fraud since 2015. So this has been going on a long time.
This guy's been around for a long time. Yeah, he was happy with the attention he was getting previously. No, F that, right? Again, there is no, he didn't get victimized here. He did the victimizing.
Well, again, like, both can be true at the same time. I don't know that it's like mutually.
It can be, but not in this case.
I understand you disagree, and you're you're making valid points. I'm only like in this specific vein. That's the only reason why I see a potential, or let's say a sliver of victimhood there, in terms of like he did not see the witch hunt that occurred afterwards. Okay, like yes, that is the result
afterwards. Okay, look, hold on. Okay, so yeah, sure. We can be absolutely positive. A lot of racism happened, right?
Sure.
Afterwards, 100%, right?
Especially the topics we covered, like it actually being cultural, like issues. So for sure.
But yeah, but like one, he put himself in that position, and two, it seemed a lot of the backlash was like legitimate, right? In any case, right? Whenever there's backlash, period, right? When there's ever a backlash against, there's gonna be unfair backlash, right? And some of it, depending on your identity, right, will be bigoted backlash, right? That's all counts as unfair backlash. But if you did do the thing that caused the backlash, well, then whatever. That doesn't like give you victim status because some like assholes happen to be using it to get a dig at your identity group.
So obviously we are not going to know the answer to this question because unfortunately, they're no longer alive. But would we all be on the same page that it's fair to say that almost certainly, if you could, like, no academic institution would hire him after this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, honestly, yeah, maybe.
I'm more or less like 95% certain that no academic institution want to have anything to do with him.
Because
a smaller one, I mean, for sure.
But then, maybe some no-name, university.
Maybe some diploma mill would hire.
Yeah, sure. Not an actual accredited institution. As opposed to the person that I just brought up, the resigned Stanford professor. Like, I'm pretty sure if they wanted an academic position, they can get it.
What difference does that make? Yeah, one's more well connected than the other.
If anything, I could make the case that they did way more damage in sending back Alzheimer's disease research than this person ever would have done.
100%.
Who cares? 100%. Who cares? Hold on, we don't have to compare. That doesn't like make this case any less bad. Right? That other case exists out in the world, and then this case exists out in the world. And in this case, this guy specifically lied, and then threatened and harassed others who caught him doing this. Like, he's the victimizer. He is not a victim. Sorry.
Well, no. Again, that would be the point of disagreement. Like, I agree that he himself made victims of other people's students and the people that he pushed back against, that he clearly wanted to stonewall the investigation.
But hold on. So he suffers. So again, like, we're gonna leave the suicide alone for a bit, right? So like, what you're saying, that he would suffer professional consequences for his actions, and then for that you give him victim status. Is that what you're saying?
In some sense, well, in combination with the fact that this backlash seems somewhat disproportionate in terms of, like, again, comparing to, I would say, an academic researcher that did, I would say, way more massive harm than this
Some
person.
white guy is this guy the other professor's white, the
Yes.
president? Yeah, some white guy who's like well connected. Yeah, they're gonna land on their feet. That's just the way it is, right? Separately from that, understood, bad, right? Some guys get to fail up. It's a thing that happens. Really unfortunate. A lot of the Trump administration managed to do that.
For sure.
Yeah, but like, but that doesn't mean if they didn't have those safety nets, not even safety net, elevators, right? If they didn't have those, that wouldn't make them a victim if they had suffered the consequences of their failures.
Well, I'd say if the consequences are a little bit disproportionate, that's where the disagreement.
It's not disappointing. That's not disproportionate. That's not disproportionate. This is hugely embarrassing for Cambridge. He should like Jason.
Also,
If he was,
Yeah, but that's the fault of Cambridge, as in, like, Cambridge should be embarrassed.
Yeah,
what?
and his PhD
This-
professor too. I think his
What?
PhD professor for sure. Like
This
was
is wild.
Well,
This is wild.
because
Cambridge should be embarrassed for failing the children, certainly, right? And they deserve that children. I mean, like,
well,
young adults.
yeah, I
right?
agree with that,
Students.
but they should be embarrassed for a number of reasons, and including
Yeah.
that what you just said.
Yeah, but like, what the fuck? This is crazy. But like, Jason, like, lied. They didn't ask to be lied to. Okay, I can be sure that I wasn't a fly on the wall during that interview process. I'm pretty sure I didn't ask them to lie to them, right? Like, he
Yeah.
lied to them. They did a bad job of like sussing that out, but he lied to them. And then you say that like he victimized.
So I'm
What?
like, this might be a function of, you may not, not that I'm 100% fully aware of how academic hires, the process happens, and it will be different among, but like the academic hiring process is generally, well, it's supposed to be on paper pretty rigorous in terms of like multiple
Yeah.
rounds and presentations, and you have whole committees like
Voting. Lots of
yeah,
voting.
voting and all that stuff. The fact that nobody took the time to see if, like, well, what are their publications? Because, like, well, at least in the STEM sciences, your publication record matters like a lot, and like, what are you actually publishing, and all that stuff. What's your areas of research? What do you plan to research, and all that stuff. And the fact that this was able to slip through the door, that should be not only an embarrassment for Cambridge, but also, as Greg brought up, like, and as alluded to in some of the stories, is like, his thesis was flagged for plagiarism, and then the institution that granted him his PhD, they like they didn't seem to care, or rather they cleared it of like, oh, the PhD is still valid despite all of this plagiarism.
So that would mean the institution that gave him his PhD, they victimize Cambridge in that way by giving them his.
Well, no, but Cambridge was aware. No, Cambridge was actually aware of this, and they didn't care.
Okay, all right.
Cambridge
Cambridge
failed. It failed all of academia too.
And again, how was this? Was it Jason or whatever his name is? Right. Sorry.
Jason
what's his
Arday.
name? Jason. Yes, Jason. Yeah. How did Jason? How was he victimized? It doesn't. Like,
I'm only using victimize in the context of the disproportionate backlash and crucifixion.
Yeah.
That's all.
Way earlier. Way earlier. He just got up and pushed, because like it feels very. It can feel and when you're failing in academia, it can feel very personal. Like people, like they're attacking your research, so they can feel very personal. I mean, people people cry during lab meetings and stuff. It can be very intimidating. It can be the peer, the peer review in those moments can be very intense. And what obviously didn't happen is this guy, like, that was lying all the time during this, he should have gotten that pushback. He should have gotten that kind of like, that feeling, and stopped earlier, and kind of like thought that this wasn't for me. That's how I feel, like how academia is so rigorous, and like that's why it's so important. But obviously,
are you saying this means he's a victim?
I'm saying that he should have, like, the people around him didn't do a good job, and obviously
catching the fraud.
Like way earlier.
So, I mean, yes, there was a failure involved.
Mhm.
How is he a victim? Because you said as well, how is he a victim?
Because like the he just shouldn't have been able to like go that far. He should have been kicked out like way earlier than that, so that he, and maybe
He was too good of a criminal, and so now he's like,
what?
I like slipped deep into Gold Knox, right? Or sorry, Fort Knox, right?
Mhm.
I get my hands a little gold, and I get out, right? And because none of the security guards caught me, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. And I was caught online, right? So I was caught, right? And later on, and then online, right? People said mean things because I'm black. I'm the victim now. Me, the guy who stole from Fort Knox. I'm the victim because someone said a bad word. They said the N word online on Twitter.
If
Oh no,
nobody, okay,
I'm the victim.
the analogy would be that imagine Fort Knox doesn't have any doors or no walls, and it's just all out in the middle of, in middle of the field. And if you take one of them, then they shoot you on sight. That would be.
This is no,
Do
no,
you
no.
know,
I got even better one for you. Jan 6, right? There were different groups of people who went in Jan 6. First, the ones who like busted down the doors, right? And then
yeah,
like attacked the officers, and then like went like with like fucking like plastic handcuffs, right?
yeah,
Went to the well of Congress, right? Obviously for trouble. Okay, that's one group. And then there was another group who just like opportunistically like came in, and like because now there were no doors, right? The second group came in, there were no doors, and so they came in and just had fun there, right? There was no one to stop them. There was no officers, right? So these people, even like who understood what was happening, they were also victims. They were victims.
Well,
The
so
government went to prosecute them, but they were just
well,
they were.
I can
I
make
mean,
the
they
case.
saw the attack happening,
Well,
but they were just there.
they do
so,
charge them differently, by the way. But anyway, go ahead.
but so we can maybe zoom in
They were
on the case of you brought up January 6th, and I think there's some in terms of the overall point that we're trying to tease out here of like I think Ashley Babbitt, what she did, like that officer was justified in what they were doing in terms of like shooting her.
Victim. Please don't do it.
But I can make the case
Don't do
at
it.
some. I have no
Don't
problem
do it.
saying it. Sorry, I am going to do it. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I have no problem saying that in terms of in some element or sense,
Victim of the
she is
mob
a victim.
mentality. Yeah, the
She's
mob
a
mentality.
victim. Crazy.
Just as like this is how cycles start of like because I think you brought up
Brian, you get this too. You get this too. Like people that are like MAGA and stuff, you feel like they're a victim of capitalism and they're put into this as well. All right.
Do I feel that way? When Prime ever said that? I don't think Prime has ever said anything like that.
As class consciousness, as people that like are aware of capitalism and the
People
system.
got agency. Nah, no, fuck that. People got agency. No, nope. They got agency. So did Ashley Babbitt, which was crawling through to that goddamn window when she was told by
she was acting like an idiot. She, like that was a justified killing. And
she
like
she deserved to catch that bullet. Absolutely.
But I also have no problem. I also have no problem biting the bullet. That in some sense,
the bullet that she caught in the face. Yeah.
That in some sense, like she is a victim. In some, I'm not giving her like the full victim card. Like like full sympathies, and this should never have happened. Not well. I mean, let's say there's a case to be like that should have never happened in our utopia. But I'm just saying like I can make the case, or I can see how she is a victim of, poor information or misinformation, and mob mentality and all that stuff, totally, or victim of circumstance. I mean, just as I have no problem saying of like, people that commit sexual assault, they are responsible and guilty of their crimes, but it's not a surprise that very often, if you see a perpetrator of sexual assault, if you sometimes go back far enough, they are sometimes a victim themselves of sexual assault.
True.
Okay.
True.
Sure. Okay, great. Make that connection of Jason, right? Who fraudulently assaulted Jason. Explain that, right? Where was the first fraud happening for Jason? That like changed his life, that set him on the path of criminality.
It might have been him at the TA, like cheating on a test in undergrad, and nobody pushing.
That's not fraud. That's not fraud on their part. That's not fraud on their part. That's them being forgiving, right? You, Dr. Greg, didn't commit fraud by not like hitting or destroying that kid's life.
But I would say that my hard line would be the PhD, him graduating that's just wild. Like
Yeah.
how it was like paragraphs lifted, words changed. Like that's a grotesque to me. And I mean, it's an interesting more like an interesting question too with like AI and people writing and using that in order to write their dissertations too. I think that shouldn't be allowed either. So I think I mean I really do think that academia and the knowledge that we create through that process is unique, and we should absolutely do what we can in order to cherish it. And I think it's like the most important human invention that we've ever had in the history of humans.
This is a distraction. Why is she a victim? This is a distraction. Why is he a victim?
If aliens came down and they asked like what's your greatest human achievement, I would think that like academia is that.
This
Like
is a distraction. How is Jason a victim?
it's not
Like, I don't know what you're talking about now.
I mean,
how is Jason a victim?
We've already, well, at least I think we've already made my case.
Poisoning the well, and not honoring that, and the professors failed him and not upholding academic institutions and their rigor, and they should have gate kept him. They should have gate kept him earlier.
Sorry, hold on. So you would I want to give a little bit more pushback, right? Because like you had a problem with my Fort Knox analogy, right? You said, hey, like you would be the victim if Fort Knox didn't have walls and didn't have doors, didn't have security guards, still had the gold, and you had an understanding that you weren't supposed to take the gold, right? You would say, well, Prime is the victim because Prime took the gold, right? Who we know that he didn't have permission to take, right? That didn't belong to him, right? I take the gold. Somehow that means I'm the victim. Okay, right? Hey, okay. So there is a house, right? This house is unlocked. The doors is just wide open. It's like in the country, like how they like to act. They're in the country. They're very free with
It was
doors.
crazy people, yeah.
Yeah, right. Sure. I go into this house and wander into some woman's bedroom, and then I touch her. Hey, who's the victim there?
If you didn't have any parents that like let you know, like you know what I mean? If you weren't raised and stuff,
these things happen.
like, dude, like we talk about consent. We talk about what it means nowadays. It's important.
Well, we may need to like, are we on the same page that like these are not like mutually exclusive in terms of like you can both victimize someone and be a victim of yourself, right? Do you
yes, I good. How? Oh my. Dude, no, hold on. I'll deal with your insanity. Hold on. In this situation, yes, I am fully cognizant about consent, right? But I go and do it any which way. Okay, just like Jason was fully cognizant about lying, like he understood what like the consequence of what he was doing, which is why he did everything he could to conceal it. Badly, but still, he tried to conceal his actions and he threatened others. So again, right, in that situation, when I'm fully cognizant of other people's boundaries, go in and like touch a woman because she didn't lock her door. Who's the victim?
Yeah, in that case, I have no in the vacuum. I have no problem saying that the woman is the victim that had their consent violated. Yeah, but that's not the situation that we're doing. Like. I agree.
No, but he brought up like he said in his the counter my Fort Knox situation that like not having doors and security guards, not having barriers means that I'm the victim if I go take the gold. So that's why I'm like making
it's illegal or nobody. I guess I don't know. I guess he knows that it's illegal. I don't know. I mean, I think he blames it, by the way, on he's autistic. That's how he blames it. That's how he blames it.
The known liar says that, oh, it's my autism. I had a medical condition.
I know.
That's why I did.
It's bullshit.
How many criminals in the past have done the exact same thing? Oh, yeah. Hey. Yeah, I was criminally insane at the time. Hey, I was criminally. That's why I touched her. I was criminally insane. Right? She drove me insane with the way she was dressed. That's why I touched her. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but so let's maybe like rewind and like try to like map out the trajectory. Like if I remember the story correctly, which I may be misremembering, it's like so yeah, it's like I think it was like he couldn't like read or write.
He was like 18 or something.
Yeah, or something like that, or like couldn't speak until he was 18.
I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. But either way,
that either.
But either way, let's say to be charitable, there was probably maybe some sort of developmental delay. Okay, whatever that happens to be. And if it's true, if I remember correctly of the story, like he got some help from some, whatever figure that was important in his life. And like from what I remember, like.
But the woman who helped Helen Keller, that's what he got, right?
maybe
Yeah.
resurrected. But if I remember correctly, like this individual that was helping him, like planted the seed in his brain of like, oh, you can be like this star academic, or like, it would be a miraculous story if you go all the way. And that might have just been.
It'd be a very media friendly story if you did that, huh? Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also like planting the belief that he will be this star academic, but then also again at the same time, everything around him, this is like sort of like the emperor has no clothes situation. Like no one is acknowledging the reality, and he's just getting fed through the system. Like I have no problem saying that in some sense, just like with Ashley Babbitt.
Why did he cover his tracks? Why did he?
Yeah, he could be one thing. He could be conscious of that, but then it's on the people, on the appropriate people like the academics, to uncover that he's covering his tracks.
He's conscious of his criminality, and it's up to everyone else. It was up to the woman to lock the doors, right? She didn't do that. So doesn't she have some responsibility? She didn't lock the doors, and like I just had free entry into her house. And so in some ways, I'm really the victim. I mean, she wasn't even fully dressed when I found her. So maybe I'm the victim here, right? I'm the victim. And if you think about it,
I don't think that's analogous.
It's crazy what you're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah, sure. I have no problem saying
it is.
I don't think it's black and white.
It's tough to. I mean, academia is a thought process. I mean, it's creating new knowledge, man. There has to be. It's tough. It is tough.
Wild. What? And so like you create this sacredness of
like
sacredness
I'm curious.
Right?
I'm curious.
And he violated the sacredness of academia, or the teacher violated the sacredness of academia because of that reason.
I'm curious how you feel, because we've had conversations about bail on your panels of like, let's say there's a criminal out on bail, and like and that criminal goes on to like do some horrible offense. It's like this offense is like to another person. Like, would you be able to say that not only is the person a victim, okay, of the criminal, but also a victim of the system that let them out on bail? They maybe shouldn't have.
Sorry, hold on. So I just want to make sure I have this together, right? You're saying there's an individual who commits a crime, they get caught,
or let's say they have a huge criminal record, okay, and they get caught, and they're still let out on bail, and they go and commit this horrible offense on another person.
Okay.
Is it comprehensible to you if I say that the person that they go and commit the crime to is now both a victim of the person and the system itself that failed them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are two people can victimize. There can be two failures. Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, we're just saying that the system failed.
Yes, exactly.
No. The criminal who like goes and does the second crime isn't a victim of the system, right? That's where the analogy. The criminal isn't a victim of the system. The system failed.
Let him out.
Sorry, go ahead.
If the judge just lets him out and he's not rehabilitated and he's not even and some judges just like, you're fine, you're good.
All I'm trying to highlight is that a system can victimize another person. That's it. I'm not saying that these examples map on.
This is crazy. This is wild. Okay, so let's map this out. Let's map out this new insanity. Okay, all right. So let's just say like the guy's a burglar, right? History of burgling. And he gets caught, right? And then he gets let out. The long history of burgling, right? But it's fine. He won't burglar again. But guess what? He burglars again, right? The new victim, right? In this case, the second victim here, because the first victim he burglared, and now there's the second one. So the second victim he burglared, yes, they are a victim both of our serial burglar and the system, because
Yeah.
the system didn't properly handle this the situation here, right? Didn't like keep this guy who was clearly a danger to the public away. Fair, right? But to say that the system failed him, the
Yeah.
career criminal
Yes.
who is now the who just got burgling, right? That guy, that the prosecutor somehow or the judge failed him
All
to
I
keep him.
Yes.
This
all,
Yes.
is like
all
Yes.
liberal this is this is like the worst like fever dream of what like conservatives think liberals think, right? Like what they imagine they think. And I'm always telling them, no, we don't think us these stupid thoughts, but apparently I'm wrong. This
no,
is
all I'm
because it's
illustrating, like,
serious.
so, like, do you agree that a system can victimize another person? Do you agree with that sentiment? That's all I'm trying to illustrate with my example.
No, Corey, stop it. That's not what you're doing. That's not because you're back doing something, right? Yes, Corey, have I already agreed? A system can victimize people. However, what you're doing is saying, because they failed, right? Someone else, that means the actual victimizer, the assailant, right, is also a victim because the system didn't properly contain them. That's what you're backdrawing into this, and I'm not going to let you do it. That's crazy.
Both.
I'm not
Assailant,
backdooring if I'm explicitly saying it. Like, I don't.
no,
I'm not
no.
hiding
So,
anything.
hold
What?
on. What you just said, hold on, Corey. What you just said is like all I'm saying is that the system can victimize people, but that's not all you're saying because there's more to that, right?
Yeah, I
You said
agree.
that's all
I
you're
agree. There is
saying.
more.
Yeah,
I have no
there's
problem
more to it.
expanding on it.
Okay, great. Yeah, that other stuff, that other half is insane. Yes, that's what I'm. That's insane. Crazy.
Okay.
As an agency.
What do you mean? That's what rehabilitation is all about in a criminal justice system. That's the whole reason why. That's why we believe in rehabilitation, not incarceration. That's the whole idea. That people can get better. That they are the victim of a previous bad ailment or a situation, and they can get better.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fundamental, like, I've already illustrated, like, if you can't see that there's a case to be made that Ashley Babbitt is a victim, even though she deserved and she's responsible for her actions, like,
Yeah.
that's just the fundamental disagreement. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah, I blame people for their actions. I blame.
So do we. Though no one's
people
saying that she
for-
shouldn't be responsible. No one's saying that she didn't deserve.
Yeah. But then you give her the cloak of victimhood, which is what conservatives have been doing. This
I'm not
entire
putting the
time.
cloak on her. I'm
They'd
not.
be happy to hear from you here because, oh yes,
I don't think. I'm pretty sure
the
conservatives don't like me.
National burglary, right? Of national trespassing, right? Our patrons say, well, yeah, she was. If you think about it, actually, she was the victim.
I never said she was a patron saint. Like this is not black and white.
I didn't say you did. I say conservatives say that, right? And conservatives will
And I would
be
staunchly
more than
disagree.
happy, Corey. Oh, wait a minute, why?
I would say, if anything, Ashley Babbitt's a victim of conservatives and MAGA Republicans. I have no problem saying that.
Lots of things, maybe. Now that she's a victim, she could be a victim of lots of things, right? And so maybe she's also a victim of the system. The system also failed her, right? The police officer failed her. The police officer, when he told her like multiple times, "Hey, don't crawl through the window," right? You are breaking the law, right? And then shot her in the face. You know, there's lots of victimhood to go around, and conservatives will be happy to share in that. Thank you, Corey. This is crazy. It's
Sure.
crazy.
I mean, like Prime. The university has to do better. The academic system has to do better, right? And for who? Like who are you trying to progress?
University students that were in his class. That's what they should have done better. Yeah, they were victimized.
But then it seems like you agree that the university should do something differently then.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
They should have.
As like
I've been extremely clear as to what they should have done differently. I've told you multiple times, right?
So that but then that's almost like a tacit recognition that the university failed.
Failed somebody.
Yeah, and I agree that you're saying that they failed the children. Okay,
why would they have to do anything different if they didn't do anything wrong?
I didn't say they did. I said explicitly multiple times they did something wrong. I said multiple times did something wrong. The entire conversation, correct, Greg? Right?
Yeah,
but
then,
said that multiple times.
But did you also not say that Jason Arday lied? And like, how did Cambridge know that they were lying, type of thing?
Exactly.
Sorry, what? Sorry,
Did you?
died. Go ahead.
Yeah, and did you not? If I heard you correctly, did you not say like, how was Cambridge supposed to know that Jason Arday was lying? And then we went down the rabbit hole like, well, they should do the due diligence, and this is part of the hiring process of like looking into their past and looking into the publication record and all that stuff.
Yeah. And so
you're making it seem like that Columbia or wherever it is the victim of him lying to them.
Yeah, Columbia is a victim of him lying to them. Yeah, sorry,
Cambridge, yeah.
Cambridge, sorry,
Cambridge
is the victim of him lying to them. So
Cambridge doesn't have any.
Oh, sorry, or maybe sorry. They may for whether Cambridge is a victim. I can see another side. Maybe they're not a victim at all because I mean, according to Corey, and this is new information to me that like they had some indication that he had.
It was brought to their attention that like there was an investigation going on about their PhD thesis, and like I think Cambridge explicitly said like they more or less like don't care, as in this does not change their decision.
If they ignored the warning signs, then maybe they're not a victim or whatever. That might be the case.
So but then do we all agree that Cambridge moving forward should do something differently, especially if they're going to tokenize someone or choose to tokenize someone?
There's no reason for me to answer this because of course I've answered this many times already. You already know that, right? So why are you asking me to answer this again?
I don't know that I explicitly asked the question. But so
Cambridge failed. Cambridge failed. I've said it from the very start of this. Cambridge failed. Failed. Something, whatever they did, don't do that again.
But then why did you, if I remember correctly, you laughed when me and Greg pointed out that Cambridge should be embarrassed. Did you not laugh at that sentiment?
No, I agreed that they should be embarrassed. I said before multiple times.
Am I misremembering that you did not laugh when we...
I might have been laughing at something else, some other nonsense.
No,
not that. Not that Cambridge should be embarrassed. Cambridge should be embarrassed, absolutely.
Well,
right?
Well, okay.
But not because
I need to am I misremembering or like I don't know, Greg?
I guess you are, Corey.
Okay.
Because maybe you just misunderstood what I was laughing because I was laughing a lot. You guys said a lot of stupid.
No.
Right?
I think both Greg and I said that Cambridge should be embarrassed, and I remember you bursting out laughing. Like
well, sorry. I don't know what nonsense I was laughing at that particular moment. But I will say, to clear it up, right?
If I find the clip,
I'm not laughing at the thought that Cambridge should be embarrassed, right? I'm laughing at all the other dumb shit you've been saying, but like not that part. Cambridge should be embarrassed. I agree. Cambridge should be embarrassed.
Oh, I agree. Then okay. I'm going to check, but I see.
No, I might have laughed at something, but I don't know.
No. I'm pretty sure you explicitly laughed when both me and
I'm saying I might have laughed at it. No, I get that, but like I don't. But like you don't know my head why I'm laughing, right? Especially since you don't recognize the things that you're saying are stupid, and so like you're not going to figure that out. So like like I might have laughed at that. That's fair, right? You might have find, but I don't know why. But if you also, when you go back, you'll also find me saying specifically, this is a huge embarrassment for Cambridge. I've said that out my own mouth. So
how about his PhD professor? Do you think his PhD professor should be embarrassed too? I would feel awful if I was his PhD professor. Like that's
lots of
that for me is like where the gate that's where really like the gate kept.
Yeah, he should have never graduated with a PhD.
Like undergrad, I can see you getting away with it, but never graduating with the PhD.
But Chase is not the victim. But clearly he's not the victim.
Yeah, I mean, well,
But according to you, that's our disagreement.
You guys have failed to provide any good reasoning.
I don't think you provide good reasoning either.
Corey, come on, cope, right? And everyone watching here, you all knew it, right? You see the cope.
Absolutely.
What the hell, right? I've knocked down all your arguments. This is crazy. This is some copium. I mean, if you can keep huffing it if you want, but like, there's a lot of nonsense that's happening here. It's very entertaining.
There's just been a lot of like the honestly the Alzheimer's research. That was probably the biggest academic dishonesty story of our lifetimes. I mean, we had like 20 years of research just blatantly, they copied and pasted parts of graphs and figures and just put them where they wanted them to be, and just completely fabricated figures.
Yeah,
and like
huge academic fraud.
Like way worse than lifting paragraphs and putting words in there. No, but I'm saying that there should have been I can't believe that there wasn't more of stories like this where people
For
like took their life.
for a well-connected white man, I can believe it. I can absolutely believe it. It happens all the time. Whatever. So
Nothing like
Donald
this.
Trump is
Nothing like
president.
this.
So
Nothing like this. I mean, nothing like this has ever happened. I hope we had
I mean,
nothing
like
else.
it's bad, but like I mean,
Yeah.
Jason's still not the victim.
According to you, that's a
Yeah.
fundamental disagreement. Like I already highlighted with the Ashley Babbitt
You
example.
can't prove otherwise. Okay.
All right. Well, last up, I guess we can. So last up, Kennedy stirred vaccine fears in Pennsylvania years before the measles outbreak. New York Times, um, August 12th. At a speech in Lancaster County, RFK mocked the threat of measles. Now local officials are racing to contain one of the largest outbreaks in the country. Pressed recently on whether he might accept responsibility for the resurgence of measles in the country, RFK Jr. fended off any suggestion that his history of promoting vaccine skepticism might be part to blame. The groups facing these outbreaks were, quote, almost all religious communities that just don't vaccinate, end quote, he told CNN's Dana Bash. It's hard to blame that on me. But end quote. But what Mr. Kennedy failed to acknowledge is his own role and the role of the Children's Health Alliance, the anti-vaccine group he once led in stirring distrust in those very communities. That includes Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, which is now at the center of one of the largest measles outbreaks in the country. The state has reported dozens of hospitalizations and more than 230 cases, a number some local doctors consider to be a vast underestimate, given that the local Mennonite and Amish communities tend to avoid traditional health care. So basically, 5 years ago, he was talking about and giving speeches and delivered a warning to local Amish community about the nation's health agencies, that how dangerous these things are, guys.
Yeah, and not to resurrect the argument, but
Yeah.
all of these individuals with measles, okay, and these Amish or certain segments of the Amish and Mennonite communities, who are they a victim of? Right? Are they a victim of RFK Jr. And all that stuff? Or, are they a victim of our institutions or our failing institutions? Are they a victim of just the parents and poor parenting, or all of the above? I don't know. I think there's multiple levels there. But I would say, a huge portion of the responsibility is placed on RFK Jr. and what they do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that they are victims of like the fact that we even allow them to be we even allow religious exemptions and stuff like that. I think that is that's awful. I mean, that's one of the problems that we have. When we have states that have actual regulation, then we don't see these type of things, and it's disgusting. I mean, he repeatedly for decades now, led one of the biggest anti-vaccine groups, talked about this stuff, and I saw what was the senator, the physician that was on the chair, the Senate.
Cassidy, I think Bill Cassidy.
Yeah, Bill Cassidy. He was interviewed, and they were like, he was like, how was I supposed to know that RFK was going to lie to me about vaccines? Like, oh my God, dude, this guy is just.
That's stupid. That person should have agency, ideally. It's hard for me to see who he's a victim of.
Nobody. He is an idiot that deserves full responsibility.
Right. Exactly. But then, is the responsibility only on the parents that choose not to vaccinate their children, or or all the people in these communities not vaccinating themselves, or can we go backwards, or can there be a cycle of victimhood? But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the percentage that it dropped wasn't that much. It's pretty wild. I mean, so herd immunity for measles is 95% because it's the most infectious disease that we have ever seen, and as humans. So I think it was like 90. Man, I'm missing it. I think it's at 88% now.
Yeah, I think it's like 88, 89%. That's the number that seems to be in my brain.
94 in 2019 to 88% of kindergartners in 2025.
which is like that's all it takes. I'm sure for some other infectious disease outside of measles, that would be enough for herd immunity, but yeah, not for measles. Just because, as you mentioned, the high infectiousness, it
Mhm.
just, you need that high threshold. Um, but yeah, like, I don't know how you solve this problem other than, and like, at what point, or can we now say, now, although we probably have said this for a while, but like, does RFK Jr. have blood on his hands, type of thing?
I think so. For sure. I mean, Samoa for here, all these other things. I mean, he has yeah, he's pushing this stuff without any data, any studies to back what he's saying. And then he went on CNN and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna study it now." And it's like, bro, you've poisoned the well on this for so long. Like now he's gonna come out with the study. Like it's just,
In
oh my
in
gosh.
addition to, I think Trump had that executive order of like, whatever, we're going to spread out the dosing schedule for the vaccines now,
Mhm.
and then also like, they're still pushing this rhetoric of like, we're going to solve, or going to answer the question of what causes autism, even though they were supposed to answer that, or they presumably answered that like whatever back in September of like last year, right? The whole Tylenol thing that seems to have been
Yeah.
brushed under the rug, where they had a whole press conference. Well, declaring Tylenol, and then Trump repeating over and over, "Do not take Tylenol," especially if you're pregnant. Um, but
As
then
well.
that seems to be forgotten in the public consciousness, and like, they seem to have lost no credibility. As in, like, how are we going to say now they're just going to uh, answer the question of what causes autism when you presumably answered that a year ago? I don't know. It's interesting, or let's say frustrating.
Yeah, dude, it's such a small percentage, and it is the religious and personal exemptions. That's why. I mean, like, just allowing that to happen and giving people the choice allows them to make the wrong choice. I don't know what else to say. They're burdened with this decision, and not all of them are going to make the right one. And it's just, I don't know. When you ask, do you want this? Do you want this? Are you sure you want this? They're going to say no eventually. That's why they wanted to break up the amount. They want to make it arduous. They want to make it hard to do. They want to make it a pain in the butt. So you're not going to all the pediatrician appointments, and like that's what they want.
Yeah, who wants, like, well, again, I don't know exactly how convenient it is to get an appointment for a vaccine in the United States. Let's say it's somewhat convenient here, but at the end of the day, it's still like a trip to either like the pharmacy or the doctor. That's time out of your day. Who wants to have like whatever, this extended dosing schedule? Like, it doesn't make any, like, if you can reduce the amount of shots or like get it done in a shorter amount of window, like, why wouldn't anybody want that? And also, like, uh, doesn't this, uh, well, I don't know if the vaccines, if they're, let's say, covered by insurance or how freely accessible they are, but doesn't this, like, spreading it out in more doses just result in just increased cost to the consumer, presumably?
Yeah.
Also, time, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, yeah, for many people, like, if you have like a middle class, upper middle class lifestyle, then, like, it maybe won't be a problem to like go back to the doctor multiple times. But if you're a working class, right, each time you have to take off to take your child to the doctor,
Yeah,
that's a big deal, right? That
absolutely.
just gonna involve some people missing, at least like, hey, I want to like get this done as soon as possible, get them protected, right? But like if I gotta go multiple times, I don't know, like, give me the most important ones, and hopefully
Exactly.
I can come back for the rest.
Exactly. And what are they going to do? Like, do multiple shots, different shots? I mean, this is the weirdest thing, is that, and this is what I don't understand, is that, like, executive order doesn't dictate what's going to happen at the state level, because this is all going to be like state by state. They're going to have like vaccine policy, so that or their healthcare like licensing for like what they need for, you know, and I don't like, we don't even have the single shots for MMR in the United States. It's not even here. So like, they're gonna import it from other countries. It's just very weird. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So it feels like this is just like a PR stunt kind of thing. You know, it's just something to kind of say that we did it and we tried,
Yeah,
didn't work
absolutely.
out. You know, it is what it is, and they're trying to kind of get these votes or something. But I don't think it's going to change much. I don't know. That's just
No,
that.
I agree. At least from my understanding, although you almost certainly have a better understanding than I do of how the United States works, where it seems like this is largely like unless like the CDC actually revises things or things change at the state level, this executive order has like no teeth to it, like whatsoever. Um, and so it's and also I don't know how much you watched of the press conference. I only saw a few clips, but like there were some points. It almost seems like no surprise Donald Trump had no understanding of vaccines whatsoever, like to the point of like he was saying like, you know, massive syringes full of the liters of solution are being injected into like small children, whatnot. I think he
I
was
mean,
using.
it is wild to me how we allow and we've just it is commonplace that we know the president of the United States can just say something so wildly inaccurate and everyone knows that he's lying. It's just like it's an emperor's has no clothes moment where you're just like everyone knows that this guy is lying. Like this is insane.
But since he's established this track record of, you know, embellishment or, you know, he's Trump just, you know, bloviates, that's just like baked in now to how I guess MAGA analyzes him. Like, oh, he's just exaggerating. So, you know, we don't have to take it seriously. He obviously knows that the shots aren't, you know, these massive 1 liter syringes being injected to a tiny child. Uh, where the, but yeah, but people should take him seriously. Uh, and he should lose credibility when he says ridiculous things, but he doesn't,
Mhm.
since, you know, I guess to his credit, not that I want to give him credit, like he laid the foundation for this behavior, just like him saying whatever. And since he's established his pattern, like people just like brush it off. Like he is graded on different standard for whatever reason. And this,
Exactly.
I don't think this would have flown like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Other than like I hope this doesn't stick. I just I hope this doesn't stick in our thing where we just watch this number go down and I don't understand what it would be in order to make it go the other way. It is only Republicans. So we basically have to get Republicans off the precipice and like have actually take it seriously. That's what it yeah.
And well, I think I've asked this before, but should it not be pretty soon that the status that the United States has eradicated measles should be revoked? Like
Oh
pretty
yeah, I
soon.
mean, it's if it's any week, if not like already. I mean, it's active cases for a year, and we've had like Texas going for a while, so it's definitely, um, yeah, it's
And I'm
definitely.
I'm curious if that's going to be seen as a loss by MAGA Republicans. I imagine not. uh, they might prop it up as like a bonus point, or like, oh, this is great. I don't know.
I think he's failing the whole Maha thing, right? And I think that they're failing, and he's trying to get them back. That's the only thing I can think of. Drum up support from these guys. His numbers are so bad. Um, it, it just blows my mind that there's no response from the CDC and the HHS about um, outgrowing ongoing outbreaks in the country. Like that's what blows my mind. Like how of all they should be having news conferences about how they are, you know, doing pop up measles, mumps, rubella shots in these counties. That's how you actually stop it. And I read a report that's what Canada was doing in response to their rural communities being under vaccinated. They were just doing pop up clinics, and I know in the Carolinas they were doing that too.
Yeah, I remember reading that as well. Although, if
Yeah,
I remember correctly, it was like to mixed success, or they based off of an
I-
article I
it's
read, they were not uh, the individuals running those pop-up clinics are like almost like vans driving around. It seems like they were not getting
yeah.
much traction,
I think
unfortunately.
you have to do whatever you can at that point. You know,
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that. Well, I'm just saying it's disheartening that
yeah.
it seems like they're putting in an actual effort in Carolina, uh, and it seems like the people are not responding to it, unfortunately. And obviously, it should not get to the point of like actually forcing the shot, but like what do you do at that point? Or that's a hard question to answer. But yeah, to your point, in terms of like the lack of CDC response, wasn't the CDC director now confirmed by the Senate, and you actually now officially have a CDC director?
We do. Haven't seen anything from her yet.
Did she not have anything to say about that executive order? But I guess not.
Yeah. I'm checking to see if she's had like anything. I mean, it just happened a couple days ago, so
Yeah, she's
I
probably
guess
too new to be able to say something. And I guess, she doesn't want to rock the boat in her first week. But still, I'm curious how much longer they can toe the party line and not speak up. But I don't have high hopes.
I mean, this is like the headline title. I don't know. Yeah, Trump's new director of the CDC threatens to ramp up abortion surveillance. Finally. Is that right? No way.
Get into the real issues.
What pisses me off is that these people just aren't serious. They're just not serious about these things like that. Like how can you not? They're just not serious people that take this like the same
for a
thing.
second.
Go for it.
Because I might make this a topic on the Reverie, which we have Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern. Be a part of it. There was a very interesting case that maybe you two have seen, where there's a surrogate who, like a pregnancy surrogate, who like the parents of the child that she was carrying wanted to abort the child because like they were going to be born with this heart condition that like makes it very unlikely that they'll.
Oh,
like,
I think I remember reading the
survive it.
headline of this story. But then I
Yeah.
believe they carried through with the pregnancy.
So the woman flees to Texas. In Texas, they have anti-abortion laws, and so she was able to give birth in Texas. And then the next step is she wanted to actually take custody of the child and raise it herself. But so far, she has been unsuccessful in that. The judge, allowed her, the parents.
And just to clarify, I don't know if you know, as in like a true surrogate in terms of like they were just, not to be crude, the incubator for the sperm and egg, or the fertilized egg.
Sorry, what do you mean? They were just
as in they were not also the egg donor.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, are they?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just asking if you had that information of like the
Oh,
surrogate.
you're asking me if I have that information.
Yeah.
I don't have that information.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I should look into that.
Because it'd be interesting of like, does the claim change if they're the egg donor as opposed to the fertilized egg is totally not theirs?
I found it on this is AI news, so we'll have to see. A high-profile legal and medical battle centers on the surrogate McKenna West, who gave birth in Texas in August 2026 to a baby diagnosed in utero with hypoplastic left heart syndrome. After a 20-week scan revealed the severe heart defect, the intended California parents requested an abortion, but West refused, traveled to Texas, and sought court intervention to ensure the baby received life-saving medical care. Wow.
Yeah. And so yeah, the baby's alive now and doing well or whatever, right? And my understanding is it's in the custody of the genetic parents. So anyway, case, I think it's a fascinating court case. Like who should take precedence in this situation, right? Like, okay, the parents say they want to abort the child. Oh my god, this is a really good topic. I'm definitely gonna make this a topic of reverie because there's so many implications. This is like this has so many implications that are like for abortion rights and against abortion rights and like the weirdest ways. If you like think about this and like draw out to this logical conclusion, this screws over both sides, right? In some interesting ways. Because like okay, for the pro-abortion side, you're like, well, a woman should have control of her own body, right? This woman has signed a contract and consented to being the donor, right? Sorry, no, the donor, surrogate, excuse me. The surrogate. So should she be able to control her own body in terms of an abortion, right? Um, and like one, like if the parents wanted to keep the child, right? And then abort, that's one thing. What if she wanted just to abort? Because there was a case about this. I think I made a referee topic actually a long time ago, which is, it was another wild case in the surrogacy, where it was a rich woman and she like hired a woman for surrogacy, but like the woman, like if she had given birth, like it would have like endangered her life,
Mhm.
and it was a crazy situation. Anyway, that rich woman like is insane and used the power, her rich, her resources to like destroy this other woman's life, the surrogate mother's life. Even though she was like trying to protect herself, she didn't want to die. And surrogacy puts people in weird situations, weird situations. But anyway, yeah. So like, shouldn't she have the power to in this case, like abort or not abort? Right? Should we be able to force that onto a woman? But also, right? Hey, should the parents like have to go through with this whole birth when they are going to be the ones who have to deal with like the costs, right? Like, because I was looking through the comment section of the video I was watching, and apparently, like, yeah, there's a small percentage of people who like live, but like they have to get like open heart surgeries, like multiple open heart surgeries,
Mhm.
to survive this thing. Um, and like if like who bears the cost of that? I mean, you didn't do the thing that we asked you to. But then also, this brings up like the interesting idea of like men's rights, right? Because right now we have both parents, genetic parents, on board with the abortion, but men's rights activists have been talked about this all the time. Hey, I don't want you to have this kid, right? Like we
Yeah.
get a woman pregnant, and like I don't want to have the kid, but you're saying I have to pay for this kid that you want to have, even though I asked you to terminate the pregnancy. Why shouldn't I be able to give up my parental rights then? Right? Why am I looked at as a deadbeat when I'm saying I don't want to have the kid, and we have plenty of time to like abort the child? Um, so like I don't know, that comes in this like case is like insane. It's insane. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
No,
I'm like going off.
no, it's complex. So let's say for me, the primary analysis is like for the surrogate, the contract, as
Real
in
quick,
like,
Yeah.
the surrogacy contract stated that the intended parents had the right to choose to terminate the pregnancy in the event of a severe fetal anomaly. It also
Wow.
required the surrogate, McKenna West, to acknowledge she had seriously considered these issues and discussed determination with a psychologist beforehand. However, legal experts note that termination clauses in such contracts are generally considered aspirational and are difficult or impossible to
to
enforce
enforce.
strictly
Yeah,
through a
because I mean,
court
you have to like strap
order.
someone down and force an
Yeah.
abortion. Um, but yeah, like for me, it is the contract. But at the end of the day, you like that contract is just a piece of paper to, in this case, largely to just track things of like, are we on the same page of like, this is our agreement. But then when it comes to enforcement, it's like, yeah, when it comes, if you, for the abortion, like that involves a medical procedure, presumably, at least in this case, at 20 weeks, I imagine.
Mhm.
And so it's like, I don't think anybody's going to want to get to the point of like forcing a woman down, strapping them down, and then inducing the abortion.
Well, I mean, the pregnancy is going to happen, man. There's going to be a couple of events that happen, and then one's a vaginal birth and one's a medical abortion. I don't know. I guess
And
the living baby now, but I guess
yeah,
it did.
but then I'm curious if it was how it was worked, or if it was mentioned at all in the contract of like, do the potential parents, okay, that let's say hired or whatever, commissioned the surrogate, however it works, like, is it optional for them to like accept the child, or is like, as in no matter what, like if the surrogate gives birth, or do they have the option to like reject it, or like
return to sender?
yeah.
In this case, to be clear, in this case, the genetic parents fought for custody. Right?
Okay,
So like the surrogate wanted custody of the child, and she's still fighting that battle. But the genetic parents have, my understanding, they currently have custody of the child.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, following the birth in Texas, a California court affirmed that the intended parents held legal custody under the agreement, and they secured restraining orders preventing the surrogate from making medical decisions or claiming parental rights.
okay, yeah, but
um,
I wonder if there was any sort of other clause of like, oh, well, actually, what if we, change our mind type of thing, or what we, yeah, or
I,
if
no, I
if
think it would be interesting if, like, if there was the other difference, right? The woman didn't want to, the surrogate didn't want to take control of the child. She wanted to give birth because, hey, I'm religious and I can't have an abortion, right? Even despite what I signed, the contract that I signed. But then also the parents like, oh, we don't want this child because, we would try to terminate, right? And then to
Yeah.
see who would be forced to take custody of the child. Because in that case, I mean, like, I don't know, man. Like, like, I mean, it's awful for the baby here, one or the other. But
yeah,
like
I agree.
it just seems like, why should I be responsible? But again, men's rights activists have said this entire time. So if you give into that, if you say, "Oh, well, the parents shouldn't have to take care of this child," then you're saying to every men's rights activist, you're correct, and that
Well,
women who decide not to have an abortion, right, beyond your wishes, that means you are not responsible for childcare. I mean, no, like a parental what's it called? What's the term for that? Dad like pays money.
oh, alamo,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
child support, or
Child support.
yeah,
Yeah. No child support. Yeah, no child support. If you're saying that, then that gets all those guys off of child support. You know,
well,
so I guess
I
it's
don't,
crazy.
I don't know if this is feasible or if that's but like, is it possible, like to make a contract that nullifies that stipulation? Because like that's as in
Mm.
like, if a man sleeps with a woman, like here, the contract is like, if you happen to get pregnant as a result of our sexual activity, I'm not financially responsible.
Our friend Lax would love that contract.
There you go. Yeah, I honestly,
As in an opt-out contract, basically.
yeah.
dude, surrogacy, like, I mean, that'd be so hard, man. Imagine your entire body changing, your hormones are going through that, like to give that baby up. I would, no matter, even if it was like a perfect scenario, man, I would still feel in some way about something that was like grown like inside of me, even if it wasn't my DNA. It
I
would
mean,
just
for
feel
you
like
it'd
my
be a
body.
tumor. So like, but like for
And
for your
also,
wife, I would
I
get
can
it. Yeah.
understand. I can understand like some people being like, "Hey, at least give me if you're gonna abort the kid, like give me a chance or something." I can understand there would be some type of like possession or thought of like this is my baby too, kind of thing. I don't know.
uh,
So Corey has, in case you guys don't know, for those who don't know, right? Corey has a best friend online, a person who deeply cherishes. Her name is Fairy Queen, FQ.
Right.
absolutely,
Um,
number one
and
fan.
uh, but something that this woman that you guys don't know, her FQ, one of her big causes is
She's
like
against her. She's
anti-surrogacy,
absolutely anti-surrogacy.
very much anti-surrogacy, for multiple reasons. But like, I imagine if she was here talking about this, like, she would like jump in and say like, well, yeah, I mean, this is like of like the moral conundrums like surrogacy puts people in.
Mhm.
And it happens all the time. Now, I'm not. I would battle against her on like being anti-surrogacy, or but like we do run into these situations where it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what's the moral thing to do in this? I don't know. Is that clear? Right?
Well,
All our like natural instincts, like are end up becoming in conflict in these situations when there's like when not everyone's on the same page. The moment one person in a surrogacy scheme is like not on the same page as the others, chaos ensues.
I
Chaos.
agree, chaos. Like there is probably like there's difference between like uh probably answering the moral question, but like, can you actually enforce that moral, like as in like, in my mind, like I said, like technically you should ideally be able to defer to the contract. But if you can't enforce what the contract says, then it's like the contract is useless, right? And I'm curious if the information is known as like, was it was the surrogacy paid for? Was there some sort of monetary compensation? I'm wondering
Almost
also
certainly.
but then it's like, since technically the potential parents didn't want it, do they get a refund? But then they also get the child as well.
That's interesting.
Because like they technically didn't get what they paid for, right?
Yeah, I think,
That's
imagine
true.
that. Imagine you're just like infertile and you just got the bag rolled dice. This is like the worst possible case scenario.
I think they should
man.
get a refund.
You
For- if
interview
they're-
people for months. You like do these,
Huh?
interview a
It's
dozen
hugely
people,
expensive.
$30,000. Like you have like a huge amount of money like into it. Maybe you can afford one kid, and this is your kid, and
And
you're
the
like,
medical expenses to actually do it, yeah.
And
And
that
you're
should
like-
have built. I would have hoped, but obviously I'm not a contract lawyer. But that should have been built into the contract of like, okay, if you don't honor our wishes, like we get. And I wonder if that would change the calculation of whether she chooses to have the child or not, or the abortion. Of like, oh, if I'm actually not going to get the money that I'm being paid for, and now it's all cost to me. Maybe I might.
Well, I mean, there's also the situations where like, because in these contracts, it'll be like, hey, we have to monitor like your health and like your behavior. Like if you just like, hey, what we didn't understand before, even though we looked into it, right, is that you got an alcohol problem, and that shows up, during the pregnancy, right? Like, then like I think they have at least you can design it so that you don't have to pay them because you're damaging the pregnancy. They maybe not be able to stop you from drinking, but like you are damaging the pregnancy. So like you aren't
You're
maybe aren't
damaging the
entitled
product.
yeah,
to the
dude.
product.
Oh my God, yeah. Alcohol, fetal alcohol syndrome. That'd be atrocious.
Yeah.
Lifelong, man. I'd be so mad. I'd be like, oh my God.
But yeah,
It's-
it's tricky.
Surrogacy is crazy this way. Like it has, like in case you guys at home have not thought about surrogacy, like if you haven't like encountered these cases, like just like, Google it. You will find the most wildest cases, and like they're like um I want to say like tongue twisters, but not tongue twisters, like mind twisters. I don't know, moral twisters, like moral conundrums, I guess is where I want to say. Right. The big moral conundrums as to like what is the right thing to do. Like we don't have in terms of the laws, right? Very few states have like most any laws like uh to regulate surrogacy. And even then the laws are just
And even then, are those
scattershot.
laws enforceable? Like, if you were to craft laws, I don't know what they would look like, right? Again, like, going with the abortion thing, are you going to like craft a law of like, oh, if you're not honoring the surrogacy contract, we're going to strap you down and you're going to have that abortion?
I mean, yeah, there's only so much they can do. Like I'm saying, surrogacy, like it's a dice roll in so many ways. It's so many ways it's a dice roll. That like if it comes together, great. Then you have a beautiful child, and then the other person gets remunerated for carrying the baby. Then everyone walks away happy. If it doesn't, if anyone is off base, right? As anyone has a different opinion at some point in time, utter chaos ensues. It happens. I mean, more often than you think.
Yeah. We're close. We're close to we're actually not close at all to the in vitro baby.
The artificial incubator, I don't think.
No,
No.
there's no way, man. It's just too hard. The placenta's too hard. It can't crack that code.
Evolution solved a problem that I don't think we're close to solving.
Because of viruses. I was studying this because of my evolution debates recently, and that's there's a gene that is integral to the existence of the placenta, and it's from a virus. And basically, there's multiple insertions into mammalian evolutionary history on like the placental gene. That's viral genes, and some of them have more, and it's different types of proteins, and it's really interesting.
And I understand if you don't know because you didn't look too heavily into it. As in, when you say a viral gene, as in an actual viral gene, or through whatever horizontal gene transfer, a gene hitched a ride in a virus, and we happen to get it.
That's a good question. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's right.
I think it might be an ERV, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's fair.
That's what I would guess. That would endogenous retrovirus, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, man, guys, let's yeah, like, oh, man, interesting. But I get we are all victims of the oppression of the clock, the prime, guys.
We're all victims of time. That is true.
That is true.
I don't think anybody's going to dispute that.
And we have the agency to decide that we need to let you guys go to bed early or on time. Here it's 2 a.m. not early, but anyway. Thank you guys for coming on. I do want to do your outros or any last words or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, go for it, Prime. I'll defer to you.
Okay. In all things. Thank you. Like this was a fun conversation. And I appreciate everyone for being good sports about it all. Come find me on my channel at Twitch, YouTube, and
Kick.
Yeah,
TikTok.
Thank you. Find me at Prime Guy, PrimeCays. We're probably going to have that surrogate debate this Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So come and watch that. We'll have a full panel.
Oh my God. I want to hear Scott's take on that. As long as I can buy, I want to be able to buy the baby. Poundage, baby weight.
Yeah, this is such an interesting case. It's like when I saw this, I was like, wow, I didn't know what to do with this thing. But anyway, yeah. So if that interests you, and it should, because it's going to be pretty exciting. Right, we'll have people from across the political spectrum talking about it. Consider following me at those channels and checking me out. So thanks again to my illustrious partners here.
And yeah, as always, great conversation. And as always, looking forward to next week. You can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 4, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, Substack. It's Corey Campbell. And on the topic of academic misconduct. Not that I'm accusing explicitly anybody of academic misconduct, but I am publishing an article on Monday about someone who has both an MD and a PhD, and I read their entire thesis, and their entire thesis is garbage. And I'm doing a full workup that's going to be published on Monday. And it's surprising that passed. And that not only did that pass, also in the topic of Cambridge,
UK. I was gonna say.
This is from the sister university, Oxford. They got their PhD from Oxford. They wrote their thesis. And I don't know if I shared this to you when we spoke, Greg, but also just so you're aware, the vast majority of their thesis, as you know, your typical like thesis layout is like, at least, whatever, 3 chapters and, whatever, 3, let's say, contributions to the field, novel contributions to the field. The vast majority of their thesis is a literature review. And even of the 2 experiments that they ran, I would say like really garbage experiments or like nothing fancy or special. But all that to say is that's what I'm publishing on Substack on Monday.
This is like goes back to my point previously. Like, yeah, like this happens. There's like a lot of dissertations that go by, right? And this just, it just happens. There's a lot of them. We're a lot of nonsense. What Corey's saying sounds pretty egregious. I don't know.
And they are now a high-profile influencer. They have 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah. So like, these things go by. There's a lot of this. So like that seems particularly egregious, but like there's a lot of like less egregious stuff, but like still would be technically against the rules. Where do you draw the line? Whose life do you ruin necessarily by like stopping them? I don't know. Maybe this guy certainly, but like for others, like it just happens a lot. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. And I'm an idiot and wrote mine all by myself. And actually did write it.
You should see how many typos. Like on one of their cover pages, like chapter 6, they misspell research.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. It's spelled research.
Yeah. And they refer to their academic institution as a collage. Instead of
maybe this is the start.
They can say it on their CV. They have their PhD from Oxford and they got their MD from Harvard.
It's so embarrassing. See, that's the thing is that like they're
Mm.
yeah, they gotta at some point someone has to be the one that does it, but nobody wants to, and that's the failure of just like you gotta stop that at some point.
I don't know. There's actual, it sounds like to me, and you guys would know this better than me, but like that there's a monetary incentive to not stop them, right? Like to just like move these people along, and that's what seems what would explain it to me. But am I incorrect in that? I'm not trying to keep
The
us back.
professor wants to have you graduate so that you can like be on that list of like I graduated you, and they want you to actually publish your work, and they want you to not waste money, and they don't
And they
want
can
that
typically, sorry to interrupt, also include I think in grant applications of, oh, I graduated these many students, and that looks good on
exactly.
their CV.
Yeah, exactly. So they need it as much. I've heard of people not never publishing and still like leaving the program after like 6 or 7 years, and then the professor
Mm.
tracking them down, getting them to come back to actually like submit and finish their
Or even like
dissertations.
run some more experiments to like finish off something. Yeah.
I've heard of them not even doing that, not even experiment. Just please get something submitted so you could have a PhD and you could graduate. Like please, So it's
Wow.
yeah.
I have what? It's like the
Technically, you're supposed to have submitted something to. I mean, a PhD is a knowledge, a contribution to a field. It's
yeah.
actually not a professional degree. That is the big difference between a PhD and like an MD. An MD is a professional degree in that you get certification from the state in order to
Mm.
certified to do a certain thing. Academia and the PhD is the highest level the degree awarded in academia, and
Mm.
basically you have to give that contribution to the field. But who says that? Who makes that declarative statement that you've contributed to the field? People say publications do that. So basically you have to publish your a chapter in order to say that you have made a novel contribution, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So people get PhDs without publications all the time. And inversely, I've actually one of the best scientists that I know is a master's student with like 10 publications to his name, and he's one of the best, genuinely such an incredible scientific mind, and incredible experiment design, everything like that, but he didn't do a PhD, so
But also to
it's
expand on your point of financial incentive, and also to give you a preview of also like what I'm publishing on Monday. Uh, so part of this person's thesis, well, actually most of the person's thesis was testing a drink, basically a special, ketone drink. Okay. And it turns out with digging, the supervisor, the person that they were doing their PhD under, okay, they own the company that makes the drink.
yeah, that's wild.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I mean, yeah.
Corey, it's up to you, or we. If you don't take, it's up to you, or we're all the victim. We're all the victim of this guy being on YouTube.
But they're popular.
I know, exactly, man. Exactly. All right, man. Well, it was nice talking to you guys as always. I
Always a
appreciate you.
pleasure. Until next
Have a
week.
good one.
Have a good one. Be
Bye.
well. I should not be muted now. I apologize for that. Yeah, I've been messing around with my audio, and that's why thank you for letting me know that it was doubled in the beginning. But yeah, I've been messing around with my audio settings, and so I still have to tweak some things. But yeah, what I was saying is, yes, they do want your tuition, and also thank you, Maddie Holmes, for passing by. But let's just say, I think for universities in the UK and Canadian universities, tuition's not that big, or not a huge contribution to their budget. But totally, I imagine it holds more true that American universities, like tuition is probably a major part of their budget. But But all that to say is like, yes, part of it is they do want your tuition. But yeah, thank you for passing by, Maddie Holmes. Thank you, Bockel, for passing by. Anybody else that I forgot, I apologize. I think that's about the Onion for passing by. So that's it for this week. But yeah, like I said in my wrap up, if you want to follow me on Substack, I encourage you. I'm also going to I intend to start making YouTube videos about what I publish on Substack and actually start going through what I publish and making content on YouTube as well about, well, all the things that I publish on Substack. But feel free to follow me on Substack, and also at some point pretty soon, sooner rather than later, I will be having YouTube videos going through everything that I'm just talking about on Substack. But yeah,